Okay, I'm much warmer now. So this is a double ice or an ice double freezer spell. That's what I'm working on. And there are several different ways that you can do a freezer spell. Okay, a freezer spell. It's fairly simple. However, I would urge you to understand the consequences, perhaps, of doing a freezer spell. What does it mean? Because if you're doing a freezer spell, say to bind somebody or to just get that person, freeze that person out of your life or whatever. And then let's say, a year or two down the road, you want to make amends. Then you do have to make sure that you've kept your freezer spell, and then you're going to want to defrost it and make sure that that was included in your spell work. Everything that we do has consequences. Every action that we do, every action that we take has consequences. And sometimes those consequences are great, and sometimes they're not so good. And sometimes those consequences happen to us, the person that did it and maybe didn't, think out the process well enough. Uh, but at the same time, it may not just happen to us, but maybe somebody that we know and that we care about. Because that would be then the universe's way of saying, hey, wake up, pay attention to what it is that you're doing and what you're asking of from the universe. So like I said, there's several different methods and there's several different ways. What I'm showing you today is what, and I have not seen it. So forgive me if it is on there somewhere out there in the internet land or the book land or whatever. Please let me know because I would like to learn more information about it. It's just something that sort of clicked in my head one time. Um, about doing a freezer spell and then being able to release it. And so that's kind of how this came about. So I call it my double freeze spell, and I have just used water, like moon water, something like that. I have used snow, and this time I'm using ice, which I really, really, really like, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay, so first of all, um, a freezer spell is used when we want to freeze people out of our life, or we want to freeze a situation out of our life. Someone is harassing us. Maybe they're gossiping about us. Maybe they're just, constantly just giving you a hard time. And, you're just sort of sick of that. Well, you can then just take your water and you can put it in an ice cube tray or a freezer safe bowl or jar, etc., a plastic bag, and put your intention, write your intention. What is your wish? What is it that you're asking for? And what are you asking to freeze? Because remember, freezing is a type of binding. And and then you place that in your freezer, put it to the back of the freezer, and then it's done. However, you do want to think about situations like, and here's a situation that I thought about when I started writing my trusty notes on what I'm going to do today. And that is because we were having the ice storm, we kept getting winter alerts on the news and on our phones about how there could be power lines down. So make sure that you're prepared for no power. And I thought, well, if your power goes out and you've got a freezer spell in there, well, I guess it depends on how long the power is out, if that spell melts or not. So then what? Then what? How does that work? So as you know, I like to dissect everything. So that kind of put this whole thing into motion for me in my head. That's how I kind of came up with this sort of my double freezer spell kind of thing. All right. So, as we know that, and it's not just people, and I am looking at my notes so that I don't forget anything. Um, you're going to want to, you can, if you wish, You can physically write out your intention or your wish, whatever it is, and on just a piece of paper if you want. I like to use, if I get any kind of brown paper bags, like that's what we use at my store, and sometimes they rip or they tear, and we all take them home. We use them um, for our spell work. We use the brown paper for writing out intentions. We also use it for wrapping stuff. For those of you who shop with me and may have gone home with some brown paper wrapping, that would be one of our bags. Or you can write it on, you can do it on a bay leaf, whatever you decide. Or you can just wish it in there, however you want to do it. You can just put your hands in it. Come on, you know how to do an intention, or maybe you don't, but those are some ideas. Okay, you just want to make sure that you choose your words wisely. um, all right, so the other thing then that came to mind is you can actually do this for yourself. Why do we always have to think about the other guy? Oh, they made me mad, or they did this, or they talked behind my back, or they blah 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 blah. I mean, how about we do something and work on ourselves instead of investing all that energy into other people, into cursing other people or hexing other people or freezing other people out of our life. Like, let's work on our own self. And I think what happens then is things just sort of move forward the way that you want them to move forward. So that is the other thing. Is to, it is kind of the thing that we talk about in the store a lot, and that is when you well, if you continue on to put spells out there on somebody, for this or for that or whatever, um, you must really think about that person quite often, right? I mean, that isn't really working on that letting go part, or how about we just work on our own self and create what we want in our own life, which then in turn sort of moves that energy that isn't serving our highest good. It just sort of moves it out because you're not feeding it. You're not feeding it. Quit feeding the fire, and eventually that fire is just going to burn itself out. Why give it attention when it knows that you're giving it attention? When these other people know, or they find out, or they think that you're, oh, and they're doing spell work on me, and they're doing this, and they're doing that. Um, then that's just your own self. If you're the person that's thinking that, like, oh, somebody put a curse on me, somebody's doing this, somebody that, and somebody this, that is just, not only is it feeding the fire, but it's dissipating your own power. And what you're doing, because that's what you're doing, is you're giving that person the power to, what they think is controlling you. So do I believe in counter magic and hexes and curses and protections? You betcha. Yes, I do. I do. But I don't waste a lot of time worrying about what the other person is doing to me, okay? Because then it's just a waste of time. Let them do whatever they need to do. Let them spend their energy. Hey, they're thinking about you. Congratulations. So, so I started thinking about that, about putting my something of my own into a freezer spell, and doing that. But then I thought, well, what is the purpose of that? Blah 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 kind of thing. And so I came up with really looking at the ice, and what was it? Um, well, ice and snow is water. That's what it is. It's water. It rains, and then if it's too cold, but it isn't cold enough or dry enough to snow, then we get ice, and then we can get snow as well. So it is water, like it's water. And water is that emotional thing, right? It's good for healing. It's good for purifying. It's good for cleansing. Uh, it's good for just for meditation and just, we use water for that. Now, water can also be used for any of you that have ever been in a flood or a hurricane or a tsunami. I hope not any of those things. Then you know the power of water. If you've ever just been out in the ocean and a rogue wave comes in and hits you and knocks you down, I mean, you know the force and the power of water. It's very powerful. So, so I started thinking about water, and water, like I said, it's healing and cleansing and purifying and all that. But water then is also transformative, and I just said it. Water transforms into ice. Water transforms into snow, and then what happens? It melts and it transforms itself back into water. Um, so all these things were going on through my head the day that it snowed. One reason is because, or not snowed, we had the ice storm. So one of the reasons I was thinking about it so much is because I was bored, because that was a work day. And I'm so used to being at work. I'm so used to being at my shop. Just like when we had the COVID shutdown thing, it was last year or whenever it was. And not last year, I think it was 2020, whenever it was, I don't remember, 2020, I believe. I don't know, maybe 2021, who knows. Um, uh, that first week just about killed me because, and yet when I'm at work, I'm thinking, gosh, I could be doing so much stuff at home. I have so much I want to do at home. There's so much work I want to do, and then when I'm home, I get sidetracked and I go, oh, I want to do this and I want to play with that, and so all of those witchy things I never get done. So anyway, the first few days of me not being at my store when I'm supposed to be kind of gets on my mind. So anyway, so then I started thinking about, right, I started thinking about the transformation and how it wow, it was rain and then it turned into ice, and in some places here we did get snow. We didn't get any snow here. I don't believe in my town. um Maybe west maybe got some more, or maybe north of us maybe got some snow-ish. um but it's completely dry now, except for like in the shade you might still find some white spots out there. So so I really so then I started thinking, okay, well, this is perfect then, because I have collected water in a hurricane, which is what we have here mostly. um, I have put big bowls out and have collected hurricane water. I have also collected dew. You can collect dew. It's fabulous. That's another video. But I have collected water from, rainwater. I've collected hurricane water, which I consider like a storm water. And just you think about the energy of that water. So one of the things when you're collecting your ice or collecting your snow or whatever it is you're collecting, what is the energy behind it, right? So when did you collect it? Did you collect it? Was there a snow? Did you have a lot of snow and then that night, and the next morning you went out, and you know how when you go out and it's snowing or the snow is so quiet. There's a there is a calm. There is a peace, there's a peacefulness about that. There's very calm, quiet, soothing, healing energy on fresh laid snow that didn't come from a blizzard, okay? Because the energy behind the snow, if it just fell, it falls quietly. It's not blazing, falling down from the sky. You can use that snow then, the energy of that snow, for those things, for calming, for to help relieve stress, just that energy, okay? That calm, soothing energy. Now, ice then um, might be a little bit different. When did you collect that? Again, if it was a raging ice storm, which ours wasn't, we actually didn't have here. I'm only talking about here where I live. We didn't even have like a they called it an ice storm, but we had ice, but it was sleep, you know, which is ice, right? Um, and then that created a layer about this big of frozen ice everywhere. It wasn't snow. As you saw with my wooden spoon, there was no way I could have dug that. I had to use my wooden spoon to chop through the snow or through the ice to get some. All right, so that is something to think about. When did you collect your water, your ice, your snow? What was the energy behind it, etc.? All right, you're going to want to think about that. All right. So, okay, so let's go ahead and talk now about what I'm going to be doing. Now, what I'm doing my actual spell work for is going to be personal. I am going to show you how I set it up, but I'm not going to really tell you what I'm setting it up for. You're going to see the process, but I'm not going to tell you what it's for. It's private for me, and I'm not going to share that. But I'm going to talk and tell you like the whole process, okay? So one of the things is at the beginning of the video, the little profile clip or, you know, picture, you saw my little altar that I had set up. I had it set up right here, which is gone now. I've got my little trusty towel here because I'm going to be working with the ice and I don't want it to get all over my dining room table. But things that you saw was you might have seen the snowflake obsidian. All right, so I'm going to be using the energy of the snowflake obsidian, which is about releasing wrongful thinking, which to me was the energy that isn't serving. So it's about releasing energy that is not serving your highest good. And it actually, and I should be talking about this later, and it promotes um, inner centering, and helps calm and helps calm that energy. It helps to center the energy, and then it empowers isolation. It helps to empower isolation. So what does that mean? Well, I will leave that to your mind and your thoughts on that. Empowers isolation. So one of the reasons when I saw, well, of course, I thought snowflake obsidian right away just because snowflake. So I went and grabbed the stone, and I really don't work with a stone. I maybe have worked with it one or two times. I really didn't, and I used it for something entirely different. I really didn't know, you know, the energies behind it. So I did look that up. And when I saw that and I saw the thing about how it works, it helps to ground that inner, you know, that inner center, and that it promotes, um, or I keep saying promotes, it empowers isolation. And I went, oh, I'm doing a freezer spell. That's isolation. I mean, isolation. Ha ha. No pun. But I mean, we're freezing, we're encasing an energy, a thought, an intention, a blessing, a wish. We're encasing it. We're isolating it from everything. Okay. So I thought I couldn't have thought of a better stone, and all I was thinking about was just see if I can get that on there. Oh, see my thumb? All I was thinking about was just that it was a snowflake obsidian, and like how appropriate, you know, to use I'll put it against my wall there. Maybe you can see it better. Um, how appropriate to use a snowflake obsidian, which obsidian is good for protection, by the way. So there is that property in it as well. Okay, so then I'm also funny stories. And I know I'm already running out of time. Okay, so another thing that's really funny is I do not work with the Norse pantheon. What I should say is it is not my pantheon. I am learning things about it, which I think rightfully I should because I do own a store. But I only know bits and pieces of what some of the Norse pagans have shared with me. Um, but I do have a special someone, thank you very much, who is quite knowledgeable in Norse, and I kind of go to her. There's a couple that I go to. Hi guys, that I ask questions for. So what was really funny is Well, let me share this with you. Okay, so we got in. I'm all over the map, right? I'm trying to hurry, slow down. Okay, so we got some Norse statues in at the store they're beautifully, they're really, really exquisite. And there's one that, for whatever reason, I was so extremely drawn to. And when it came in, even more so was I drawn to it. However, I was not drawn to it, and no disrespect to any of my Norse viewers, no disrespect whatsoever. And I'm hoping that you can kind of understand and see where I'm going with this. When it came in and I actually saw it, I was like, exactly. It's exactly, that is the energy. Um, I see her, and it is a statue of Skadi. I'm pretty sure I'm saying it right. Skadi. And she is I'm not going to go into all the things that she is, but she is a goddess of winter. She's a goddess of winter. And but this particular, and she's little. I mean, she's maybe 4 inches. This statue of her, let me see if I can do it on my wall there. It might be better. You can see this wolf that hangs down. She's wearing, the whole thing is a wolf cloak. She's the goddess of winter, so I'm sure that's helping to keep her warm. And she has bows in her little pack behind her. And her feet, these are actually skis. Okay, so she skis. But for me, she's a bow hunter and all different kinds of things. For me, she was extremely ancestral to me in my own energy and my tradition. I felt a very ancestral connection, almost indigenous, almost that Native American feel about her. Again, I don't mean any disrespect to anyone who follows this pantheon and you work with this particular goddess, or you're from another tradition or pantheon and you think maybe that I am wrong in doing so, but I can't help what I feel. And so I am using her because she is the goddess of winter in the Norse pantheon, and I respect that tremendously. And I love the feel that almost tribal, ancestral feel about her. And so I'm using her on my little altar that you saw at the beginning there, to as part of the altar, the energy altar for what we're going to be doing. Now, the other thing that I'm using is I'm using a rune, and I know a lot of Norse stuff, right? Although I know a lot of witches that read runes, I do not. I do not. But when I don't know how it came to be. It's just those things like spirit just delivers things, right? And so the rune just looks like an eye. Well, it is the rune Isa, and that's what it looks like. It's just like a straight line, and Isa means ice. It means ice. I mean, okay. So anyway, you probably are not as excited as I was about that. I do have to get my notes because I don't read runes, but they said, if you look at it and it's just this, right? It's just that, we can think icicles. And so it's ice, and it represents the harshness of reality. Isn't that the truth? Reality is hard, people. It is hard. So it represents the harshness of reality, and it's really good for stillness, but more importantly, and it slows down fire energy. Hello, it slows it down, and more importantly, it is about the importance of presence, of being present. I need that so much. I need that so much. This fell on my lap. This all just fell on my lap Saturday when I went and collected the ice. That's how spirit came in meditation journey, whatever I was doing. It wasn't really, I don't even know what I was doing. It was crazy. The next thing, since I read tarot, I said, I pulled the Hermit out of the Wildwood Tarot because ice, snow, cloaked. This is the Hermit card. And the Hermit is about going within. It is about stillness and calmness and being present with self, finding that center, being, just being quiet and all of those things that I just said. Now he's not Norse. This also has a very druid feel to me. Very druid feel to me. But it is about that going within and patience and waiting, having that stillness, having that calm until you can come out and shine the light on what it is that is so that is the reason that you're doing this ice spell. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Okay. All right. So I have my jar of ice. And remember I said that I didn't want to cleanse it with the sage because of the product that was in it. I didn't want to remove all of that energy. However, I probably did because I did use Florida water to swish it around, as you saw. But what was in here was sauerkraut. And I just sort of wanted some of that souring energy in there. And like I said, I had already washed the jar anyway with soap and water. So, that probably washed away the energy. But I just really wanted to keep some of that soury kind of energy within. So maybe I did and maybe I didn't. But I did cleanse it with Florida water. And I trust Florida water as a cleanser and as a purifier. So it probably did, go away. That souring energy. But okay, so here's my ice. All right, you can see there's still some of the dirt still in there. All right, I'm going to set it aside for just a second. Putting it right. Oh, it smells like Florida water. Okay, so what I'm going to do, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put you down. I'm going to put you down so you can watch. All right, there we go. Okay, so I have here an apple core. It's an apple core. And because this is hard. So what I'm going to do is I'm hoping, you know what? I'm going to do this in the sink. I'll be right back. Okay, I just took it to the sink and kind of carved out a hole in the middle of it. But doing it here, it was getting all over the table, and I have this old primitive farm table, and I didn't want to ruin it. So all I did was take my core. You can use whatever you need to use, and I just sort of I just twisted this and cut a hole in the middle of it because I'm going to put a candle in there. So I am going to dress the candle first in, this is rue. I'm going to dress my candle in rue oil. And I want this to go within. So I am going to dress my candle, make sure I get the wick. I am coming down with the oil, down, because I'm drawing the energy, I'm putting it into my jar. So I want my intention, which I am not sharing with you, into the jar, and I make sure I get the bottom of the candle. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some herbs right into my ice. The herbs that I'm using for the work that I'm doing, I'm putting it right into that hole. Shoving it down there as best as I can. Then I'm taking my Isa bay leaf. I have already, this has my intention also in it. So I have already put my intention into it, which I'm not going to share with you. But what I'm going to do is I want this to go into my jar. So I am folding my bay leaf 1, 2, 3. I'm cracking it because you can't bend them 3 times. I'm putting it in my ice. I'm taking my candle. The candle now sits right in there. I'm just going to move this one piece of chunky ice. Put it on the other side so it doesn't keep falling over. Okay. Oops. All right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to light it. I'm going to light it. Here we go. So the herbs, I put a hole in the ice. I carved out a hole in the ice. Woo! And then I placed the herbs that I want to infuse into my ice, along with my Isa ruin that I drew on a bay leaf, which also has my intention. And then I light the candle. Now I'm going to let this candle burn down. All right, I'm going to let it burn down. If it burns down to and the ice takes it out, that's fine. That is fine. Here's another bay leaf piece of it. I'm going to put that in there. That's fine, because this is just the start of my ice spell. Okay, this is just the start of it. What I'm going to do with this, once this ice melts, what I'm going to do, if there is, once it melts, okay, if the candle wax is still in there, I will probably take the candle wax out and I'll probably bury that. But this will just be then at that point a jar of water. The transformation. What I'm doing right now is I'm using fire ice. I'm using my intention that I put into it to release. I'm sorry, to come, not release, to come into this jar of ice. So this is still ice, still frozen. I'm calling the energy in that I want in this ice as it's coming in now. When I'm done, when this is done, when the flame burns down, and once this is all melted, what I'm going to do is, see if I can set this over without it falling over. I'm going to pour the water. I have a strainer here. Oops, I've got my hands wrong. I've got my little bowl here. It's cute, like from Halloween. I'm going to put my strainer over the bowl. I'm going to hold it. I'm going to pour the water, the herbs, everything that is left in this jar. I'm going to pour it into this, or if you want, you can pour it directly from the jar. I'm pouring it through this strainer because I don't want those herbs. Those herbs have a different purpose. I'm freezing those herbs into this ice. So what I'm doing is straining it so that the herbs will be in here. Those I will bury along with, if there's candle remain, which I'm sure there will be, wax, I'll remove that as well. And then I'm going to take the water, the melted ice, and I'm going to put in, I have 3 herbs here that I'm going to put in to this water, back into, not into this jar because I don't trust this jar. I don't think it's a freezer jar, but I have another little, it's a ceramic thing for freezers. I'm going to pour the water back in here, or in here, and then I'm going to pour that into my freezer container. This will be clear because I've strained it. Remember, I strained it into here. So this is still the ice water. What I'm doing is I'm infusing the ice water. I've taken out, and now I'm freezing in a different intention into the ice water and putting that back into a little jar, freezer safe jar, and that is going in the freezer. And so that is a double freeze. I'm freezing it. So I'm going to, once this melts, you can see it's kind of already, I don't want to move it because that candle's not real sturdy. Let's see if I can get it. You can kind of see down here at the bottom, it's already starting to melt. I want it to melt all the way out, all the way down. I want all this ice to be gone. The herbs will be in there. The intention that I am bringing into this frozen tundra, this frozen jar, this frozen ice is going to be in there. I'm going to remove the remains, the herbs, the wax, whatever, and then I'm going to pour it into a freezer safe container with new herbs that are for, in addition to, and I'm going to refreeze this ice in the freezer. And when I'm pretty sure at the next dark moon, February, which is where I like to do most of my spell work, I'm going to then take the jar It won't be this one, right? It'll be another jar. Outside on that full moon or dark moon, and I'm going to let that dark moon do its thing, charge whatever. If the ice melts, so it is. It's really, really cold now. It may not melt. If it doesn't melt, I'm going to decide then what I will do. Or if that is the end of the spell, if that means that the spell has done what it's going to do and that's it. So anyway, that is what I'm doing. I know it might sound a little confusing, but it's just move this because it keeps, as I'm talking, it's a double freeze spell. That's all it is. But I'm doing it just a little bit differently instead of just putting in something that I want frozen, something that I want paused, something that I want still for a minute, putting that into the ice itself. When this ice has melted, I'm going to just leave it right now. I'm going to let the candle burn down. And once the ice is melted, then I will strain it. I will pour it into a new container with herbs that is about the manifestation then. I've already let go and I'm trying to do the manifestation. I will put it in the freezer because it's not time yet. It needs work. It needs reflection. It needs that inner time, that inner centering. And then on the dark moon, we'll see what happens with that. All right. So, all right. That's a lot. Hope you liked it. Hope I can get this to go in with the other one. It's going to be a super long video. I'm sorry, guys. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed it. If you have any questions about it or any comments, as long as they're, positive, I don't mind. If you have a different idea on it, that's fantastic. But negative comments, things like that, beep, I don't take those. All right, so because there's no need for that. All right, okay, guys, have a good week, and I'll probably see you here next week. I hope. Bye, guys.